So hi guys, Craig Hanson here and welcome to my video. We're checking out Rory Mcillroy, one of the best players in the world, one of the best, definitely one of the best ball strikers on the planet, and arguably one of the best drivers of the ball of all time. It's an amazing free-flowing swing, and when we break it down in slow motion, it really has some unique moves to it. And the reason we do it, perhaps we enjoy it, perhaps we can pick up one or two things and see what are the hallmarks, characteristics of great ball striking, or what are some of the unique moves in this guy's swing. So anyway, I've taken the liberty to pop in a couple of lines here. The line up the left side of the leg here is, I call that the wall, and a line over his head. Obviously, it's an interesting transition and lots of stuff, moving and going on in his swing. Now, some of the things I do like about it's got some great moves in it for normal golfers. It's in a position at the top that makes it hard to come down steep and hard to come from the outside. But not only that, it's got a great impact and some unbelievable things in there. So let's break it down. Let's have a look. We'll have a basic breakdown. We've got 10 degrees of shaft lean in the address position, so 10 down from 90, so we've got 80. We've got a well-centered swing with compression and movement downwards. So the head's going to drop. We've got the classical L position that's taught all around the world in this halfway position going back. Big shoulder turn, movement downwards. So he's compressing and moving downwards. So we see a big shoulder turn and into here, but quite a short swing. Now what that's going to do is it's going to point the club more towards the target. And it makes it from here where this end of this grip's pointing. It's generally where it's going to come down, and that's for a lot of people around the world, a very, very good thing. Now, where it starts to get interesting is this amount of, or this movement in transition. One of the things the first thing, obviously, what we can see is the amount of compression, the amount of movement downwards into the ground. Now, the funny thing was, Tiger Woods was always criticised about this position, but that nobody seems to speak about it with Rory or some of the other guys. But that's a lot of movement, moving downwards, a lot of compression and moving downwards. Now, when he gets around this point of the swing here, he's going to start to lift up. So the energy goes down to the ground, bounces back up. He's using the ground forces to create the speed that he creates. What is, however, interesting is when we get into the transition here, you can see the left foot will actually take a step. So he lifts the heel, steps across like Stenson, replants it, getting a massive amount of lateral movement and force down. We can also see the right foot using the ground forces here. He's going to move his weight to the outside of the right foot. Now from here, you push into the ground's going to push back. Now he can bounce off that and get laterally and get his body moving now through the wall. So he's going to get his left leg moving through the wall. He's going to get, when he gets his hand down to around this position here where it's now underneath the middle of the head, we're going to see almost a right angle. So there's a lot of angle held in that right wrist there. Now we start to see part of the shoulder going through the wall, and we start to see the right leg or the right knee covering the ball, an area where not a lot of people get into around the world. Club golfers struggling to get their impact correct. Shaft lean 14 degrees, depending on the amount of speed you got. If you've got enough speed, you can get more shaft lean, but definitely for a lot of people, somewhere between 82, there's always parameters, and around about 76, 75, depending on the amount of your speed, is a good spot to be in. Right leg down to 67 degrees. Left hand hits the wall, and we have the right wrist held and a compression line. Now, through impact, we can see that there's no flipping of the club. Rory does stand very close to the ball. The closer that you stand, the less you're going to flip it. And if we take away all those lines here, I just make an extension of the right forearm. You can see there's plenty of room back into the shaft. Now that is a characteristic of a great ball striker, and up into his Olympic style finish position. We'll move into this angle here before we have a look at a couple of other unique things in his swing. His dress position, yeah, pretty much normal, 55 degrees on his back. As I said, he's getting stronger and stronger, and you can see his arms hanging down, so he stands in very, very close to the ball. We'll get a couple of lines in from here to here, one in front of the knee, one on top of the head, one up the shaft. We'll have a look at that. That's 55 degrees. Now when he gets to the top, one of the interesting things is his left arm is down around 40. So he's got his left arm lower than the original shaft plane. And this is for some of you guys out there coming down steep, if you get the shaft into the 80s and the left arm around 40, your club's pretty much in a position where it's an anti-steepening move. It's really hard to come from the outside, and it's really hard to steepen it from there, as opposed to getting the club laid off and things like that. So it is a lot, as we see again, a lot of movement down. And one of the things that I find interesting is in this swing is the amount of, when he gets into here, I think it's just maybe even a little bit further. No, it's about there. We'll take away the lines. Well, we've seen that already. Now, when we have a look at the amount of strength that this guy's actually got, well, it's quite interesting. We can see that from the shoulder into the belt buckle area, we've got about 32 degrees. Now, I've seen a couple of players like that. I saw a young Jack Nicklaus. I've seen Dustin Johnson, Arnold Palmer. Probably Dustin Johnson, probably Tiger Woods was the lowest that I came across with amount of strength and power to create that move at 24 degrees. But it seems to be that the stronger that Rory's getting, the more he's starting to get that position. Interesting checking out this little walk move that he does. Something a little bit similar to Stenson's. As when they get to the top of the swing, you'll see them take a step over with this foot here and replant so the heel's up, plant it, and then the foot will turn. Stenson does the same thing. Sometimes both these players setting up a long way back this way, and what they'll actually do is that step across will get them part of their leg travelling through the wall, which is a good thing. You can see Stenson doing the same thing. You see the step over, and also seeing here part of the left leg going through the wall. But with the drivers and the freewoods, it's always good to have some room situated into here. Now, there's a lot of talk about Rory's, the hip pausing that he does, and it's very unique. I've seen it quite a few times actually. You see it with a lot of junior golfers, and it is quite unique to see the hips by top players decelerating through the shot. But what we can actually see with Rory, who's got some of the fastest moving hips of any golf professional in the world, you'll actually see here that when he comes through, you'll see the hips reversing there. So his hips somehow magically pause, like a lot of top players, but he'll actually has the ability to, when all the energy is turning and twisting, to move his hips back. There we go, in the other direction. Now Dustin Johnson is another one that does get that. So there are some, it's an incredibly freaky move. It does keep players in the shot. The hip pausing they both have anyway, which I've done on other videos, but you can see the hips reversing and then finishing off and going through the swing. So it's an amazing golf swing. It's an amazing player, and it's really got some beautiful flowing moves in it, and he's just hitting the ball in an absolute mile. What a player. There's Rory Mcillroy. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.